Hi guys. My name is Tyler Studer. I graduated in 2018 with a mechanical degree, and I work at Viking, Cives in Harrisville.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Racette. I work at AES Northeast in Plattsburgh, New York, and I graduated with a civil and environmental engineering degree in 2019.
Hi, I'm Maddy Hetman. I graduated in 2017 with a civil and environmental engineering degree. I work for New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in the Division of Water out of Raybrook.
Hi, my name is Ashley Budd, and I work for the New York State DOT in Region 7. I'm an engineer trainee, and I graduated in May of 2019 with a civil and environmental engineering degree.
Hi, my name is Pierre Nzuah. I graduated here in 2015 with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering technology. I also graduated from Clarkson University with a master's in electrical engineering. And I work as a substation design engineer for TRC in Liverpool, New York.
Actually, I just feel like you should stick the mic to someone in the audience. Okay. All right, so I did also pass out a sheet with some of the pre-made questions I already sent the panelists. So if you don't have anything formulated yet in your head, you want to use one of those, that's fine. I'm just going to pass around the mic, and that'll be my job. All right. So, anyone any takers? Anyone first up? Cody. Cody wants to ask one. Here you go. Thank you, Cody, for stepping up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Is this got to be towards any specific one of them or all of them? Or? All right. Jocelyn. All right. What was the biggest change from graduating to actually going into the workplace?
I think the biggest change would probably be, for me, it wasn't so much getting to know like my colleagues. I was lucky enough to have my internship for 3 years. So that wasn't too much of a change of going from that aspect, but it was definitely trying to earn your client's trust. I mean, you're like the new kid on the block, and they walk in and see a young person, and they want to know what you can do and what you're going to offer for their project. So it was definitely probably getting their trust and gaining that was the biggest hurdle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody, for being courageous. Huh? Yeah. Would anyone else want to add to that, like for themselves?
Anybody?
I think one of the biggest hurdles, I agree, was like gaining people's trust. And a woman on the job site, you're already looked down, or not looked down on, but you're already like, oh, she's a woman, she doesn't know much. But so it's kind of hard to like prove yourself in the construction field. So I'd say that was like my biggest thing, and like trying to earn their trust and let them know that you do know what you're talking about, and just kind of that you're not a jerk, because they already think that you are no matter what. So I'd say that was just my biggest thing.
Also, could I just ask you guys to just project a little bit more for the audience? Yep.
So I started working for TRC in 2017 after because I did my thesis and it was like stressful and all those stuff. So after that I thought like, what could be harder than this? But I went for TRC and it's like a learning on the job thing. So the first week I realized I knew nothing. Like all the stuff in college wasn't helping me for anything. But I was, like, to be frank, I was really stressed my first week and everything, like doing paperwork and doing actual work. Just from the first week, it was overwhelming. But all the little things that we are taught here, like, teamwork, like work with someone, help other person, ask questions. I'd realized I was dumb from the first week with whatever was going on. So I just started asking dumb questions and and the rest is history.
All right. So, did anyone else have any questions or anything off the sheet they think is interesting that we're improv on that? Sure. So you want to pass that down?
All right, this one's for all of you guys. what made you decide, like, what helped you decide what you wanted to do? Because, like, you can do, like, so many different things with civil engineering or electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. Like, what made you say, like, I want to work for this company and I want to do, like, this thing with my degree?
I think for me it was a state agency, and I knew that that entailed good retirement and insurance, which was important to me. With what kind of what to do with your job, I didn't really know, but I knew that this job would have both some environmental and some civil in it. So that was kind of my decision, that I didn't want one or the other. I wanted both. And this job does really not just skim the surface, but this job really does entail both topics of what we learned in school. So I'm using my degree.
I think for me, I didn't really want to go private sector because it's more of a design factor, where in my position I'm more of a regulatory person. So just for instance, Jocelyn will submit plans to us. I go through them, make sure everything is meets the regs. And the other thing that I like and why I chose my position is because I can basically make my own schedule. I can be out in the field as much as I want, or I can be at my desk as much as I want. Granted, every time you're in the field, you're generating more paperwork for your desk, but that's something that I really wanted. I wanted to be not at a desk 24/7. And then within the agency, there's different divisions as well, but water was where I wanted to be, simply because I think that's what I knew the most about. Thanks, Dr. Regal. But that's why I chose where I am.
Mine was actually an internship. Was when I first started, when I first came to SUNY Canton, I actually did a full year of mechanical engineering. And I didn't realize that this was not for me until I went out and did an internship and actually realized that, oh, this is not my strong suit. So then I ended up deciding to switch to civil. And then I still was kind of questioning about what exactly field I wanted to go into. But then when I first started taking the environmental classes, something clicked. And that was when I knew. I'm like, I understand this. And I loved what I was learning. Like, I could truly say that from the bottom of my heart, that, like, I enjoyed what I was doing. And honestly, it was probably the best choice I ever made, because I love my job now. And that's what matters, is if you love it, it's not work.
So I decided to go with my job because actually a year before I graduated, I ran into a friend of mine that I graduated high school with, and he let me know about the company and whatnot. And my senior year, I was teetering between HVAC or the design aspect of mechanical. I did some job interviews for both sides. I decided to go with Viking, though, for the design aspect, primarily after I did my capstone. I just really loved all the hands-on work, the design process with building it, and the plus side with my job is 98% of it is on Inventor. So you actually have a year-long training of learning how all the snowmobiles or snow plows go together and whatnot. So then after that, you get to then decide how best to build everything in the computer. So it was just the best fit for me.
I guess, like, for me, it wasn't really hard for me to decide what I wanted to do, because first of all, I grew up in a small farming village without access to electricity, and I made up my mind that I wanted to be an electrical engineer very early on. And when I came to SUNY Canton and picked the major, like electrical engineering technology, and I realized that very few students were picking the major. So I actually tend to like it, because I was like, fewer people in the major means more job opportunity for me when I graduate. So that was like a big motivation for me, even though it wasn't good for the school, but yeah. And even picking whether to work with a private company or with state, I did not really pick. I started going to the career fair, starting from my freshman year. I started just going for free pens and for other free goodies at career fairs. I talk to people, and I had some people that were interested in me. They said, you have to talk to us when you're ready to get a job. And I had someone from TRC, Jerry. He was persuading me to work for them, and after my bachelor's degree, he said, you should start now. I said, no, I have to do my master's. And after my master's, he tracked me down at Clarkson and said, you have to work for us. And I'm glad he did, because when I went to TRC, it's a private company, but we get to do jobs for multiple companies across the country. Like, I do work for National Grid, and I do work for American Electric Power, so I get all these experiences all around. I know which company is better than which, and having all those experiences, it's like a job security for me, because if I get fired at TRC, I can get a job in another company.
So what type of skills or habits or classes should students pick up before they graduate that you maybe should have, or maybe you did and you're like, oh, I'm glad I took this class?
I would have never thought that the environmental law class that I took would have came in handy, but that's literally my life on the daily. GIS is another big one that, were we required to take that one? I can't remember. It was an elective, but that's another one that comes in a lot of super handy. And then obviously all the required classes. For me personally, my water, wastewater, water quality classes, all that kind of stuff, but that's if you go the environmental route.
Yeah, I have to agree with Maddy because we pretty much do the same thing, except she's on the regulatory agency and I'm on the consulting side. So I agree with her with all the classes. The one thing, though, that I wish I would have taken would probably be some kind of technical writing class. And I completely understand those lab reports, full lab reports. I get it. They're horrible. But I would not have realized how much until I was actually in the field and realizing how much those reports mean. When you're actually in the field, those reports, they can get your client millions of dollars in grant funding, which is make or break a project. So really take those seriously. I swear I was in your position. I'd never believe you. I'd say you're crazy, but they really do help. And I kind of wish that I would have taken another class to actually get my writing even stronger.
So with obviously ours being 98% inventor, that's a great one. But luckily for mechanicals, I'd say almost all of our classes are primary. Most of them deal with inventor or MATLAB, which we don't do a lot of coding per se, but sometimes we do, so that works out. But with being on the steel side of a manufacturing plant, the material science and all that, having to know tolerances and whatnot, fluid mechanics, essentially all of your base courses I almost use every day. And then I took FEM, and that was very beneficial for me. So.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. You go.
I think one class that definitely helped me was materials class, and just knowing how different properties of soil act, and our concrete class, all of those testing that we did in school, I use it in the field a lot. And I think just knowing how different materials react in the field, and how the cohesion of soil and just those different things that you think don't matter, they do matter. And I would definitely say, like, with the technical writing, that was definitely very helpful. And I do reports daily also, and I looked at reports at work and I'm like, these are not what Dr. Regal, we didn't write these. Like, it's just like, because you learn in the field, like, people write different reports so differently, and then Dr. Regal's standards are way up here, and then you look at reports that are here and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So it's just important having those skills.
Yeah, writing, I would support that. Like, we're writing reports. Like, in my design, we do a lot of, like, hard design and stuff, but anything you design, like physical, you have to document everything and write reports. And I used to, like, hate taking Dr. Frempong's classes, because he wouldn't only get you to write a report, but he would make you to design a cover sheet and have the information, like all those stuff, and I didn't like doing it. And that's exactly what we do right now. You have to design, like, do everything, document everything, arrange everything in order. Like, you have to do something that to distract people. Like sometimes you actually feel like you're a distraction, like going back to people. So I had to put a lot of personal effort and like my own extra time in learning those stuff, which could have been much easier if I took it seriously when I was in college. So like the whole study is like take anything you're doing here seriously, whether you like the teacher or you don't, just take it seriously. Try to know it as much as you can because you don't know what is going to help you after college.
Can you describe an issue or a problem that you've experienced and how you resolved it and what type of lessons you learned from it? That might take a little bit, so I don't know if someone has another question, but that's important. I don't know. Any bosses that yelled at you?
For those who know me, I started. We have two offices. We have a Raybrook office and we have a Warrensburg office, and all of my bosses are in the Warrensburg office. So I got thrown into my job pretty much sink or swim method. You're going to figure this out on your own, and if you don't figure it out, there's the door. So fortunately, I have two coworkers that are in my office that are not engineers, but they pretty much do everything that I do except for review plans and reports. That kind of, took me under their wing, and I was able to work through all of that. I've actually got a new supervisor now who is much younger and is an engineer. My original supervisor wasn't an engineer, and I think there's a whole stigma out there for people that are engineers versus not engineer, and it's, if you're an engineer, you're better than everybody else, and that's kind of how it is with my agency at least. I don't think that way because, again, I have people that aren't engineers that do the same thing that I do, and they probably do it 100 times better than I do. But he not necessarily wasn't willing to work with me, but just I didn't feel like I was getting the proper training and the hands-on experience that, I hate to say it, but we kind of get our hands held here. We really do with the small classes, and then you get thrown into the real world, and you just got to figure it out on your own. And here's a book, read it. So that was probably the hardest part of starting my job, was just not having the training right off the bat.
I'm lucky, like in my job, side, I was good, lucky. Like there were people with like 40 years experience, 10, and then newer people that got higher with me. So I was getting frustrated. I saw other people that were equally getting frustrated, so I was comfortable. But my company is a company that has branches all over like the country, and we get to collaborate with people that we don't know. Like you can work with some, I can be the electrical engineer on the project, and the civil engineer is out of Clifton Park. And we have to work on that project and deliver a result that is as if it was done by one person. And I'm working with someone that I don't know. And sometimes, like, say, you want like to like not be nice or like say things because someone is not doing their, like pulling their own weight and stuff, but you have to be nice. And I find it like doing customer service, like trying to be nice, like trying to talk to someone like, okay, let's do it this way. Like what about like trying to be diplomatic and all that stuff. It was really tough because I'm the kind of a person that likes to call a spade a spade. But it's really hard, and it's part of it.
I have kind of two things. I think more in general is the two job sites that I've been on. I've been on them for like you're on them for 3. Well, each one was 6 months long for so far. But anyways, each job site that I was on, the foreman or the super was like a younger person, and you're not they know that you're not an experienced person. So it's like learning to ask those questions and learning to ask intelligent questions. So you're learning, and then you're also putting yourself out there, trying to learn, and not making yourself seem like you don't know absolutely nothing because you've never been on a construction site before. So I think it's important to ask those questions, but also to kind of learn on your own at the same time. So I think that is like not an issue, but just something that is good to know because you have to earn their respect and earn their trust. And I think you build a relationship with people from there. And I just think knowing when to open your mouth and ask questions, and then when to, all right, I'll figure this out on my own. I don't know it right now, but I'll figure it out, and by the end of the day.
I think one thing that I would probably say is just kind of off of them is just having overall communication with everybody, making sure that everybody is on the same page, and kind of playing off of what Ashley said as well as knowing when to figure something out on your own versus, just listening to, what somebody else tells you. I'm pretty fortunate where my boss is, he kind of lets me go on my own for as long as I can, and then, when I need to ask him something, then I go to him and ask. So I don't really have too many of those overall communication issues because, it's mostly I work with kind of myself, I guess, and then, go to him when I need those problems or need answers to those problems. So it's a hard one for me.
Does anyone else have a question you might want to ask? Anyone? Back rows? Oh, I'll bring back there.
So this is a question for Pierre. So how has earning your master's degree at Clarkson helped prepare you for your job?
Like the master's, first of all, it's like, when I was doing my master's, I actually tend to like SUNY Canton because when I was doing master's, there was no teacher pushing you. They basically said, this is the scope of what you have to do, and you have to figure out ways to do it, whether you're going online, whether you're reading a textbook, like you have to figure it out. And when you're asking, before you ask a question, you have a question, you have to like try to answer, like, and when you go to someone, you have to first prove to the person that you've tried solving that problem on your own and you weren't able to like get a solution, like have like wrong answers. Like you basically go to someone with a question, but you have your wrong answers and stuff. It's the same thing like my job. Like I go to my job, they just throw me on a project, like you're the project engineer on this project, here's the scope, and maybe the person that did the scoping was out of the other office, maybe they're not longer with the company. I have to figure it out, try to figure things out, work things out on my own, ask the right question, try to ask the right questions. And we have a Clarkson and SUNY Canton thing that goes on around my company, and I like to identify as a SUNY Canton student because I was here longer. And so I have to ask intelligent questions, not to seem like a dumb person. So like the intensive thing, like figuring things out on your own with the master's program really helped me. And the writing intensive and doing the research, like it really helped. And that doesn't mean if you start working there with a bachelor's degree, you're not going to be successful. No, like we have a lot of people there with bachelor's degree, and I go to some of them for help. So like doing the master's degree, it helped. But it's like definitely throwing me and then asking me to figure things out. Really, my master's degree really helped. But the technical aspect, like the hands-on stuff and doing stuff physically, I credit SUNY Canton for that. Like the theoretical part goes to Clarkson, but like the hands-on stuff, I really like that I did that here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kind of related to that, and this could be like for all of you as well, like, probably you have like a 5, maybe 10-year plan where you want to kind of grow, move up the ladder. So like from where you are now, like credential wise, like what are you going to have to do, like additional trainings, your FE, PE, like that sort of thing to kind of keep growing?
For my job now, I have to pass my FE, and so if I get that, then I'm not golden, but I'm pretty much golden, and I can keep moving up the ladder until like I get to like kind of a managerial position. And I don't know if I want that, but that would require it would require you to get your PE later on. A lot of people do get it. It's not super required, but a lot of people at my work have it, and almost everyone has their FE as well. At least in the office, in the field, like in the construction, a lot of people don't have their FE. So it just kind of depends on which route you took. It's like some people have 2-year degrees, but they took the civil service test. So there's lots of different routes to lots of different jobs. So it just kind of depends on what you want in life. But for me, I have to take my FE for now, and then just to move up the ladder, I'm pretty much good.
Maddy has until October 29th to pass her FE or she's out of a job. Right now where I am, that's the next step is to pass that, which take it as soon as you guys can out of college, seriously, because I'm struggling right now trying to learn a new job and then also studying for that. It's not fun. After that basically puts me at a permanent position. And then if I wanted to go any further, I'd have to get my PE, which is 6 years for any of us with technology degrees, unless you went and got a master's after. So once you get to that level, you get a PE, then you're usually in a supervisory position for my job. But then you also have to wait until civil service or the state opens up a position. So you're not necessarily guaranteed the pay scale of a PE, but you might have your PE. So that's the other part that kind of isn't really fun.
So yes, mine is also that. I have to work on passing my FE and my PE. My company is actually a PLLC, which means to become a partner, you have to be a licensed professional to do that. So if I ever want to get basically to be a part owner or something of the company, I have to pass my FE and PE to do that. So hope maybe someday that'll hopefully happen. We'll see how quickly that happens. But yeah, that's the next step for me.
So technically, we're considered drafters, not really engineers. So with my job, we don't really need the FE or PE. I can be a manager, or possibly, if we get a new location, be a store owner without any extra credentials. But to go higher than that, we do have professional engineers in Atlanta. So if we want to go any further, we would actually need our PE. But looking outside my job, a couple of years from now, I should probably get my FE and PE so that any possible jobs open for me. Otherwise, I might be very limited to what I can do.
So my advice to any of you guys is like, you see like the habit where we have about selling our textbooks and everything. Like if you can keep your textbooks and notebooks, you keep them. Because when I didn't even know anything about the FE and all this professional exam, but when I started interviewing for jobs, they started advising me, like I started telling them what I want for a career. They said, you might also want to consider taking the PE exam. And I decided, like when I got the job with TRC, I decided to take the FE before starting the job. And one thing I basically did is I was lucky. I kept all my textbooks and my notebooks in good conditions. I basically went back, gathered everything, and then review all those stuff, and then went and took the FE exam. And it's really required in my company. It's something that is, they don't force you to take it, but it's really required because you have to take the FE exam. And after 4 years, you take the PE exam. And in my company, when we finalize a project, to issue a project for construction, someone is required to stamp that project. And the more PE people they have in the company, the better, because they have people that stamp for different states. So they really force you to really take the PE exam. So the FE is really college in days. And we forget a lot of stuff after college. I couldn't believe how much I had forgotten just like in a year and a half that I was in class about college. So it's really important to take your FE as soon as you can. And the PE for us, I'm not looking, I don't look forward to like taking any exam and anything, but anyone that passes the PE exam in my company, you don't only get like moved up higher, but you get a bump in your salary, which is a good motivation to take the test.
So with a couple different fields here, what are some, if somebody's going to look for an interview or looking for a possible career, what are some certifications they could get prior to going into the job that would benefit them over another interviewer? That's kind of for everyone.
I think one of the biggest things that at least when I came in, was definitely probably being OSHA certified. My company was very surprised that when I came in that I already had my OSHA 10 after graduating, and we had a bunch of people that have been hired on that needed to get their OSHA 10, but it was great because I already did it over 15 weeks instead of having 2 really long days. So that's one thing. I mean, granted, that's what everybody gets, and then also the SWIP training too. That's a really good one for especially civil, and environmental. That's a really good one too as well. It's only 4 hours and it's definitely worth it, and it's good to just have in your back pocket. So then if somebody needs you to go do a inspection or something, then you have it right there and you're all set for that, because those are required, what is it, every 2 weeks or something? Once a week, I think.
Depends on the size.
Yeah, it depends on the size of the site. You have to do inspections at least once a week. So those are definitely 2 of the top ones that, at least from my experience, that I would say you need. So, anybody else?
I can't really speak for mechanicals per se because we don't really have any said requirements. But like she said, OSHA for sure. Especially if you're working in a factory or whatnot, that's definitely something you have to follow every day. And then simply just your FE and PE, I would say.
I know, like with my job, they give us training for concrete testing and for earthwork inspection. I did have experience with that in our classes, but it wasn't required starting my job, but that is required you take that training during your job. So I guess just those two, those are the 2 that I need for my job. So.
The good thing about my company is like they don't require you to take any exam before the interview and other stuff. But the thing is like every little experience that you have in college counts. Like they look into everything. Like, okay, like some of us when we are here we say, oh, people don't really look into GPA when they're hiring. That's not true. It counts a little bit towards it when they look at your resume. But there's also other things like experiences. Like I would say I was an RA, and in the interview I can say I was an RA, and then the teamwork that we did, and it will count a lot for the company because in the company almost everything is teamwork. So having that experience on my resume helps a lot. I would say I was a tutor. I was tutoring here, so they will know, oh, I'm a person. If they hire, I can be able to train other people that come after me. And I would say I was like in the IEEE club, and we did that. We went on field trips, so they will know I'm very comfortable in traveling and doing all those little stuff. So everything that you have a chance to do, in college you should do. Like besides the classroom stuff, everything is gonna help you during the interview, and you should like really like say those stuff during the interview, because some people they have it on their resume. They glance through your resume before the interview, but during the interview, they really want you to sell all those stuff that you have on your resume to them. So.
Can I piggyback on that? Yep. So not necessarily training, but I know when I went and interviewed with DEC, I gave them a list that actually Dr. Eagle put together for us. Actually, it might have been for Mike and Garrett, of every single one of the labs that we did with her, and just a list of everything that we did and all the different machines that we used and all that kind of stuff. And my current boss looked at me and was like, you're doing stuff in college that we don't even have the equipment to do in the field. So that was something that was impressive to them. So just all your lab work and your hands-on stuff, just keep track of that and make sure you, when you go to get hired, they know that you know what you're doing.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. So if there are no more questions, do you guys have any last remarks you want to share that we didn't? You guys already talked a whole lot, so. Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. So, yeah. We do have some gift baskets that we'll be passing out to them as a thank you. Oh, also, please, for the surveys at the end, if you want to, just pass them down at the end of the row so I don't have to go all the way down. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
I thought there's only two, but there's a whole other bed.
You don't like maple syrup?